Right now, we're all faced with a choice. Are we going to allow the existing circumstances as a result of COVID-19 cause us to be worse at our mental game, our emotional game, and our physical game? Or are we going to allow those things to make us better? That is the question that all of us are facing right now. And Sarita Dua, who is all world and about everything she touches, shares some real life tactical things that are working for her to be intentional about ensuring that this era of her life causes her to really, enjoy and benefit from what's happening, as well as leave a mark on what her life looks like moving forward, to where things are better moving forward. You're going to love the episode. You're going to love learning from her. I always do. So thank you for tuning in. Enjoy. All right, I'd like to welcome you back to the Think Bigger Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Justin Stoddart. Very excited today to bring you some value from somebody who's been a mentor and icon of mine, and really has been for the entire industry. Not only has she been in the business for 16 years and been a top producer for much of that time, but she's also a very devoted mom and wife, also somebody who contributes back to the industry. She's building some of the best technology out there together with some amazing teammates. She's also a month away from finishing up her MBA at MIT, if that tells you anything about her capabilities. She's just a wonderful person with a big heart who loves to give back, build community. I'm fortunate and honored to have Sarita Dua with me on the show today. Thank you, Sarita, for being here.
Thank you, Justin, for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, this is going to be great. I know that at this time, really the problem that we're going to solve for people that are tuning in today is that we're in unique circumstances. Each and every one of us, really everybody in the world, right, is in a situation we haven't been in before. And it's really a time that we can, if we're intentional about it, we can actually improve in the areas of having, being mentally fit, being emotionally fit, and being physically fit. When not everybody is exactly feeling stronger in any one of those three areas, Sarita is going to help give us some tips on how to be well, how to stay well during this time. So, Sarita, before we get into that, let me just ask you, kind of just out of curiosity, continuing to be a top producing agent here in 3 years, you're taking on the Ritz-Carlton in Portland, which is a huge project, and managing, again, not only your love of family, but also continuing to be kind of engaged in the way that you are. How has this MIT MBA been, right? We talked probably a year ago and it was a little overwhelming, but you were managing it. Now that you're coming near the end, tell us a little bit about kind of what that's been like.
And I think nothing prepares you for this time that we're in, but in an interesting way, the MIT MBA has helped me really focus on the things that are important. You just, at some point, you can't do everything, right? You have to make choices. I'm pretty plugged into my team and my business. And I had to, like, some of my lack of delegations usually, being a control freak, it's completely my issue. And when you're in Boston every 3 weeks for a weekend and you're spending, they say, 12 to 15 hours, but really it's 20 to 25 hours a week on homework and projects and papers and assignments, there's just no way you can do it all. And so at some point you step back and you do the best you can. And like I always use this analogy. I feel like, a juggler juggles 3 balls in the air. I feel like sometimes I have 40. And unfortunately, that means there's probably 8 to 10 on the ground at any one time. And you try to do the diving catches and you try not to drop the same ball all the time. But to be real straight with people that, I mess that up, I'm going to get back to you. Can I have till the end of the day tomorrow? And then of course you turn around and you get it done today. So you just do the best you can, but it has prepared me in a way to be efficient. But getting away from our topic, I mean, the other reason I did it, it's part of my kind of midlife crisis that I went through when I turned 50 last year, is I'm just a big lifelong learner. I love learning. And I realized there's a lot of things in my life that I didn't know much about, like, platform strategy, machine learning, AI, and it's made me strive to learn more. I didn't do it to sort of change my career or change my life or change industries. I did it just to learn. And it's so naive though, when you go and you say you're not doing it to change. The truth is you just change. Like, you just start seeing things differently. So that means you can apply it in every part of your life, personal, business, etc. You just look at things. They give you not only models and frameworks, but you just sort of think bigger. And it's not only MIT, it's like any institution that's committed to innovation and leadership is just going to open your eyes. It's kind of like once you see light, you can't unsee it. And so it gets you energized. If nothing else, you just get excited about what you're doing, and you embrace it in a different way.
I think there's a lot of people out there that would that hold back on maybe taking some risks for fear of those balls dropping, right? And I really appreciate what you shared there, because it's like, you just have to get comfortable with the fact that you're not going to always be great and not going to catch all the balls that are in the air, but that hasn't stopped you. And I know I'm a big proponent of, like, the purpose of this life isn't for us just to kind of glide by and get to the end. It's really to change. It's really to become somebody different at the end than when we started, and to be something more, and to be have the capacity to be able to contribute and help more people. And so I think that's a great tip for all of us that maybe tend to be a little bit of control freaks, right? And we don't like things getting chaotic. We don't like things getting out of order. So we don't dare try additional things for fear that the balls are going to start dropping and bouncing and breaking. And it sounds like you've kind of really gotten okay with that, realizing that that's part of the process of growth, part of the process of change.
Yeah, it's hard, right? Because we all, in some ways, are control freaks, many of us, and it is progress, not perfection. And I look at it the other way, which is, I had a lot more balls in the air than the three, and so even though I took the risk, like, I also got the rewards of being exposed to and making a difference in many ways. I joke with my team sometimes: if you win every appointment you go on, it's like, congratulations, and you're only, swinging at the fastballs down the middle. You're not going for the curveballs. You're not going for the sliders. You're not taking the risks. When you actually start missing, that's when you're growing and you're putting yourself out there in maybe an area where you don't have experience, or you're just not comfortable, or a price point, or a neighborhood. So I think that risk taking piece is really important, right? If you have that attitude that, and I don't want to get super philosophical, but really, if you really don't believe in failure, you either win or you learn, right? And it just keeps making you better. Then it's not as much about the balls that dropped. It's like, look at what I was able to accomplish. Like, what's the glass half full here? And would I have been able to do that if I didn't try all those things?
Yeah. And look at how much of a different person I am, right? And with capacity to go serve and help at a higher level. It's just great stuff. So let's kind of delve into the topic here a little bit. Again, we could talk about kind of your business for a long, long time, because you've done some incredible things, doing such large production with such a small team and offering such client care. In fact, I just got to do a little plug here. I'm privy to receive your emails. And right as this COVID thing started to kind of unravel, one of your emails that you sent out had nothing to do with real estate. Is like, do you need any help? Do you need help with bills? Do you need help, like, with groceries? We've got connections. Just please let me know if I can help. And I was so touched by that, because I felt like the rest of the real estate industry, a lot of people caught on to that later. And I feel like that was just genuinely from your heart of, like, people are suffering right now. I have a network. I've got influence. I can help people. And I actually use that to share with some others to be like, hey, this is where we all need to be coming from right now. And so I want to thank you, because behind all of this genius, the stuff that you're doing, there's really a heart to help and take care of people. So why don't we start with that then? You have to excuse me. I'm again, we're going to get to
the tickle. Yeah, you have a tickle going.
Yeah. So in fact, I'll kind of give a later plug. We're going to talk about how to be physically well. I was out this morning, timed myself in the mile, and dropped my time by 20 seconds. Still not a very impressive time, but I dropped it.
Congrats. That's huge. 20 seconds is huge.
So to everybody that's listening, you're gonna have to deal with a little bit of that, but just remind yourself that that's Justin getting after it a little bit.
No, I appreciate you mentioning that email, Justin, because I really did mean it, right? Like, one of my favorite things, and why I think I got into this business, is I love connecting people just for connection's sake. Sure, you send a referral to someone in a different state, you get a fee and all that, but, like, it's really fun to have a client that's new to town looking for a job, and someone who's hiring in your network, and you connected to. So yes, the email was actually one to many, right? It was kind of a piece that I just sent to everyone. But those who know me knew that I meant it, right? In fact, I got over 100 responses on that, just like one-liners. Thank you so much. And I think the people who know me know that I meant it. I had very few people complain about it, and it wasn't about real estate. It truly wasn't. And I think, just to sort of segue into our topic of sort of that mental and emotional well-being, I'm human, right? I went through all these sort of the different stages of emotions we all go through, right? Anger, disbelief, shock, denial. Both kids are home from college. I'm not graduating. My semester was canceled. We're all home with lots of fears. And I'm also just, very cognizant of the fact that I'm one of the lucky ones that I can be home. And there's others that are on the front lines and are worried about what their paycheck is and what they're going to eat, and their business, if they're even going to open it back up. Right. And so I think I realized pretty quickly that really there's two things we can do, right? We can control our attitude, and we can control what we do. It's really our mindset and what we do. And for me, it was really important to model that for not only my team, but my family as well. It's just so hard today with the news cycle being 24/7, as well as it not being news, right? You're getting political essays as opposed to news, and just depending on even the news source. And like, you could read an entire article that looks and feels like a newspaper article, but really it's just loaded with opinions and not backed with any facts. And if you read that, I mean, I know myself, the anxiety was high, I couldn't sleep. And I just realized, like, at the end of the day, how can we help the people that are in our life, right? In any way. And guys, we don't have to go start a food pantry or run groceries to people if that's not something we're able to do. It could just be calling people and just asking them how they're doing, and asking them how they're really doing, and asking them today versus 1 week out when this was a bit of a novelty. Right now it's starting to get to the point where we're all bursting at the seams a bit, and we miss that sort of human interaction. So I think, like, that's my first tip, is just like, you can control your mindset and you can control what you actually do. And so putting your sleeping till 11 in the morning and having the covers over your head, while that's a wonderful strategy for stress reducing, at the end of the day, it's not going to solve anything and or change your situation. And I get it. In fact, we all need to give ourselves some mental time to take some time. It's very easy to have Zoom fatigue as well, and be on calls from the minute we wake up till when we go to bed, right? The workday is now no longer defined by boundaries. So it's important to say, hey, like, I'm going to work for 3 hours, and then I'm going to I'm going to do the treadmill and have lunch, or I'm going to even take a nap for an hour, or go for a walk in a safe way, or do something with my kids, right? And then maybe block it where you kind of reward yourself. But for me, I guess I just want to acknowledge that this has been tough and I don't have all the answers, but what has helped me is sort of that mindset. And then also starting to be really cognizant of, like, how I spend my time. What are the things I want to get done? What are the things I need to do? I believe in the spirit of helping people. I have clients that need help today, right now. They have an empty house. They need to sell it. They are in the middle of a move. They need help. What can we do within the boundaries of what we can do to help them? And if we can't help them now, then we can help them later. And we need to make sure we flag that they're going to need our help soon. And we need to get back in touch. So I've been sort of following this sort of model that I like, which is sort of now, next, or later. Who needs my help now? Who needs my help next? And who needs my help later? And making sure I focus on the now. I'll be honest, we did that financially as well with our family. Like, at the beginning, we didn't know if this thing was going to be a week, or if it was going to be, 6 months or what. We still honestly don't know much, right? And so just having that conversation, what are the things we need now? What are some things that we're just not using that we can cut? We just wanted to get really deliberate about it. And for me, and like I said, we're very lucky and we're doing fine. But the bigger issue is just having a mindset of, like, do we really need 200 cable channels right now? And we're not going to the gym. Should we cancel the gym? We can always start it back up later, right? So, like, what are the things we should be doing? And that gave us as a family permission to have a culture around it. Like, the kids aren't leaving the lights on all the time. We love going grocery shopping. I swear, it's my husband's sport. We don't go grocery shopping every day. And so that means we use, like, delivery when we can. We try to go once a week, and we'll go off hours if we have to go in person. But we're also, like, raiding the pantry and getting creative. And now dinner as a family has become one of my favorite things, because we just sort of use what we have, and we make it work, and we're getting creative, as opposed to, let me find this recipe. Now let me go buy the vanilla extract I need for it. Now it's like, well, this is what we have. We can make a stir fryer. We can go do this. And it's been really fun. I have older kids, they're 18 and 20. So it's been really fun to see their creativity come out. And I didn't do it like, well, we can't go grocery shopping. It's more just, let's sort of stretch what we have and make do, and make it a fun thing. And it's been really rewarding.
Some of the things that I hear, if I were to kind of summarize all that, so much great wisdom that you just shared right there, is to, like, get real, right? This is a situation that we're in. Like you said, don't pull the covers over your head. Like, get real with, like, this is our reality, and then start to find the good within it, right? This creativity, the fact that your kids are home, that they wouldn't be home. With me, right? The fact that I'm home and I normally wouldn't be home. So much extra time I'm having with my little kids it's a gift, right? So as hard as it is for many, right? And for even probably some that are listening to this, like you're really struggling, I would encourage you to look for the silver linings, because one day you'll look back and those silver linings, I think if we do this correctly, that creativity that you're talking about, even when it comes to recipes in the pantry, right? Even the creativity of the fact that like I don't turn on sports when I'm, when I'm done with work, like I used to a lot of times, right? Now I'm going on walks. My 2-year-old's coming in, Dad, walk. I want to go for a walk. I want to go for a walk. And it's amazing, right? And now instead of being in a car commuting home, I'm able to go walk. And so I hope that from this kind of mental, like being mentally well, that we start to like really take account of all the good things that are happening and be sure that we have a plan to implement those afterwards, that we just don't go back to maybe the way we were. Cause I think there's a lot of good that can come from this.
Yeah, and it's a forced pause, right? Like at the end of the day, we have all these intentions, but it took a pause like this for us to implement some of these changes. And now we got to hope that when we're in a situation where things can change back towards how they were, I'm not saying we'll ever go back to normal, but however the new world will be, we should remember some of these habits. And unfortunately, it took sort of a frying pan over our head to be like, kind of woke a bit and be like, wow, I got to change some things, right? Because I talk a good game, but I'm a workaholic and I never see my family. And then we use food to celebrate by going out and we do all these things, but like, are we actually listening? Are we like, we don't like what we do now is my kids are in their rooms when they have class, my husband's in the back, I'm at the dining table. We talk about our calendar, but we kind of crank. And then we like meet back up at lunch. And then like one of my favorite things at dinner is not only just making dinner, but just sitting and talking. Like we don't have our devices. Like we're already deviced out. We're just sitting there sharing thoughts. And I don't remember, quite frankly, us doing that. I remember us having dinner, but all of us like having this like constant dilemma of like, put your phone down, we're having dinner, right? And so it's sort of just given us permission to like really connect and be present. And it's unfortunate that it took like a lot of this to change some of our ways, but we're gonna see how we can keep going with that. It is a blessing, right? I'm an empty nester, so it's like a blessing to have your kids home. On the other side, they don't want to be here, right? Like they miss their friends. They get it. They're smart. They know like what we're doing is a safe thing, but they didn't go away to college on the East Coast to come home to Portland and Zoom their way through, right? So it's hard because we don't have the answers, but we are just all making the best of it.
Yeah, so good. I think from a mental standpoint, again, you pointed something out when it comes to. I think we have to remember that the news's job is to inform us. Their business is to keep our attention, and the best way to keep our attention is through the dramatic, right? And obviously, everybody has some political agenda. So I would encourage everybody to take note of how much am I listening to the news, and how much am I creating my own news, right? Like creating real stories within my family that are documentable, journifiable. I just made that word up. But like, things that are really going to matter, like in the long term, right? Really going to matter. So let's move to the emotional side. We've already talked about this a little bit, just genuinely caring about people, right? What's something that you think people can do, right? Beyond kind of like you said, like sometimes people don't do something because they feel like to do something, they've got to start a food pantry, right? But what's something else that maybe you found or you've seen others do that's just simple that would really connect people emotionally when we can't connect in the same way that we're used to?
Yeah, I think the big thing, and I'm learning this from school too, right? Like the egomaniac in me, right? I want to change the world, right? I want to make it a better place.
Me
But
too.
the truth is you can change the world by changing one person's world. So I would say, your whole podcast here, right? And your show, think bigger by thinking smaller and just being really focused on one thing. It might be, how can I change someone's world? I have a friend who's doing something for her school. They're looking for deodorant and shampoo or whatever. She's just like she's put it on your porch. I'll pick it up and I'll donate it. Right. So me thinking, well, I can definitely do that. And I can also tell a few people to do it too. Right. So just like do things that make sense and then amplify it even by just sharing something out there so more people know. But my big thing I just feel like is I think because we're all zoomed out is I'm picking up the phone more and I'm just talking to people. Like they're answering because they're stuck at home too. I'm sorry, I've been using the phrase stuck at home and I always try to catch myself to say safe at home. They're safe at at home too. But they're, before it was almost rude to call someone. It's almost like, can I text you and say, hey, are you free in a few minutes? I want to give you a call, right? You felt almost invasive. Plus, let's be honest, we have all the robocallers that still call. And so a lot of us don't answer our phones because we get a lot of telemarketers. But now it's just sort of picking up the phone and reconnecting because we have time. I used to always joke, if I could turn the world off for a month or 2 weeks, like I would have this hobby and I would go to the gym more and I would talk to all my friends that I miss. We have no excuse, really. We do have time. And so I'm not giving you a solid answer because it sounds really lame, but I really feel like if you think about the people in your life, think about the people you miss, think about the people who might need you, people that are alone right now, they don't have the benefit of fighting over what's for dinner. They don't, I mean, as much as maybe families or partners might drive us crazy, we still have the benefit of being together. Checking on the people that are alone and just asking them if there's anything you can do. Even driving out there, I've been going for drives sometimes just to clear my mind, just to have a change. Where you get in your car and you go for a drive and you come home, you're not making anyone sick, and you listen to tunes and it's been beautiful out, right? To go to their driveway and have a driveway date where you're 6 to 8 feet away from them, but you can see them. Imagine how people might feel when you took the time to I just came to see you. I don't need anything. I don't want anything. You don't need to tell me anyone who wants to buy or sell real estate. How are you? Do you need anything? That's why everyone's going with the memes and stuff, right? I post a lot of those memes just because they make me laugh. And I just think sometimes levity, it's obviously a stress management tactic. Some people use humor, some people don't, but, and I don't mean to offend anyone when I do, but like, I've been really struggling with fitness, which I know you're going to talk about as well. And so some of the memes, like one of my favorites is the woman with the rolling pin. She just really looks like she's rolling out dough, but it's really her tummy because of the COVID-19 and the 19-pound weight gain, right? And the struggle's real, right? For me, I do really great Monday through Friday, and the weekends are a little bit challenging for me. And so I count on having fun a little bit on the weekends, and then I have my structure Monday through Friday. Well, guess what? The weekend is Monday through Sunday now. And I gotta find ways to just not only use humor, but also misery loves company. Let's find others that are in that same situation so we can share tips, we can share challenges, we can be transparent. I think accountability is really huge. To be able to wave your hand and be like, guys, I've been strong for my team, I've been strong for my family, but I'm really struggling today. Tell me something that, that's going well for you. Tell me that, give me some suggestions. Like to be able to actually have a safe space of trusted people in your life where you can just be really straight and get that lift when you need it is really, really important.
I want to highlight something that you said in there about the emotional side of it. I was actually on a church leadership call last night, and we were talking about the widows and single people in our congregation and how lonely they're getting, right? I mean, they would come on Sunday in part because they love the community. And now all of a sudden we're not getting together on Sunday, right? And the people that used to come visit them can't come visit them. You think about all the grandparents that they live for interaction with their grandkids. And now they're not getting that, right? And you see some wonderful people doing like concerts out in front of, kind of retirement communities. You see people really kind of being creative in the ways that they're doing that. I think one thing that we can all do that your conversation has reminded me of, Sarita, is just to pick up the phone and call some people who would be maybe at-risk people, right? People who you normally have to stay away from. It doesn't mean you need to stay away from them, via the phone. You can't contract like coronavirus through the phone. So call these people. They're probably terribly lonely. As we all get lonely. But I think that there's a generation, a population right now that is somewhat being cared for physically, but neglected emotionally. And I think in
the pre-COVID days, right, I would call people, I'd want to talk to them, and I could sense if they wanted to spend more time. I'd feel like, I have I have a meeting or I have something going on. We need to get together. Let's have a lunch. Let's have a coffee. Now it's like, call them and be prepared to talk to them. Like, spending a half hour on the phone with someone, catching up and giving them the gift of your time and not having to be anywhere. And, it's just hugely respectful. And I think it is very appreciated. I know my parents as well. Like they miss, I miss them. I mean, I want nothing more than to go see them in Michigan, but I don't want to make them, they've been safe and I've been safe, but I don't want to make them ill. And so we've been doing like Zoom bingos, and we have a family WhatsApp chat, and my brother and sister especially have been really good about posting that they have younger kids, artwork or poems or little video clips, just to keep them laughing and engaged. They're not depressed. They're doing fine. They've just, they're embracing Zoom, they're embracing, Instacart showing up even, but they've got to be lonely, right? And so how do we find ways? We haven't gone to like a phone tree or anything where we all take turns, but like we've all been really good about making sure we just pick up the phone, and the minute you're thinking about it, do it, right? Because it's just, a lot of times it's just that quick touch base that they just know you're there and you care.
Love it. So good. All right, let's wrap up with the physical portion. Again, you do a lot.
Yeah.
For those that aren't already friends with Sarita, don't follow her. She has a Facebook group called the 66-Day Challenge, which is all about like good nutrition, good eating habits. And I take inspiration there because my pantry has never been closer to my desk. And especially around Easter time, and really any time, right? From after one holiday, there's always the next one.
Yeah, there's always like, we're going to start Monday, right?
Exactly. And I've got the sweet tooth. And so it's always been great, kind of this accountability of how to refrain. In fact, I saw a neighbor of mine walking out in front of the street, in front of my house the other day. And I would have just said, hey, how are you guys doing? And she said, great. She said, my sister had a great idea. I'm going to start wearing my mask inside the house so I don't eat so much.
Exactly.
And so I think we're all kind of struggling with this, right? Of like, how do we get to some sort of routine that doesn't, that keeps us healthy and well? So you talked about accountability. Obviously, you do a great job of that. Would encourage everybody to go find Sarita, follow her 66-Day Challenge. Any other tips that you've learned as far as being healthy and well, whether it be exercise, whether it be nutrition, whether it be sleep? Like, what's working for you right now?
I think for me, I mean, I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth here. Like, one, I know what to do, but this is challenging, right? You do have way more distractions. If our whole life is around, cooking and watching TV, well, then comes the popcorn and the snacks, right? It is just harder to stay more focused if you're distracted. So I guess the first thing I would say is, be focused on whatever your goals are. It doesn't have to be weight loss. It could just be like, look, I just don't want to gain more than 5 pounds during this time, right? So I need to make sure I walk 30 minutes or do my 10,000 steps so I can enjoy dessert, or so I can, partake or whatever. But finding that accountability with people and being really honest and open with the fact that you're going to have good days and bad days. I think a lot of us have these problems, again, back to the progress versus perfection piece and the balls on the ground when we're juggling is, oh, well, I ate bad for 4 days in a row and I gained 6 pounds and now my pants are a little tight, so I'm wearing my yoga pants. But, to heck with it. Now that I've sort of, gone off the rails, I might have, it's hard and I'm just going to keep going off the rails, right? So I think the challenge is like catching yourself and trying to get back on track so that it is, as controlled as possible, and finding those people in your life that you can be honest with. I have one friend that I literally share my weight and how much I walk every morning from the day before. And she does it with me. And it's just sort of forced accountability. Like, we know we're going to do it. Right. And so, and that again, but if you do join that group that you mentioned, the 66-Day Diet Challenges, we're not perfect. A lot of times we're posting memes and we're like, okay, guys, it's day one again. Like, we're really human about it. So surround yourself with people. The other thing is, it's not like, for me, it's always been about weight loss because I lost a lot of weight and my fear is I don't want to gain it back. Right. But some people, it's, I want to gain muscle, or I want to gain weight, or I want to just move more, or I want to change my mix, right? From more, like just change my body fat percentage and add some muscle and lose some fat or whatever. But it is around the sleep and hydration. And so for me, a couple of tips is, I'm loving that a lot of these companies have these free apps right now. NTC, Nike Training Club, Peloton app is giving you 3 months free. And like the Peloton app, you don't have to have a Peloton. You can use any treadmill or bike. And they also have exercises that don't require equipment. And they have like a great 5-minute sleep meditation and a 10-minute gratitude meditation. So for me, like when you're just going off the rails crazy and stressed, even just taking a 10-minute break and listening to a guided meditation, it just, you can see your body just sort of, you can feel the calm. And it's okay if you finish it and you still get back to what you were doing. But for me, it's like, again, a pause and like a check-in. And so I'm loving both of those, like a sleep meditation and the gratitude one. And then the Nike Training Club is so great for people who are like, I'm not working out, I'm not doing this, I don't have equipment. You don't need anything. You can find a bag of flour, or you can just do lunges and sit-ups, and it's like a 30-second thing, or 45 seconds with a 20-second bar, like a progress bar that gives you a break in between the next exercise. So it just sort of shows you, and in like 12 minutes, you can do, you know, a couple of reps of several exercises and feel like you did something. So it doesn't have to be like, again, I can't do this, I don't have my barbells, I don't have my equipment, I don't have my TRX or whatever. You can do it with what you have. It helps for me that I have college kids that are pretty fixated on staying fit. So I just feel like I can't eat brownies and watch them do it. I have to like actually try to do what they're doing. Otherwise they just sort of nod their head, you know, shake their head at me. So I do think like there are, and it is more than just, like I said, the food and the exercise, it's mental, taking that time. It's also sleeping, track your sleep, make sure like I find I'm sleeping way more now, and I'm so much more relaxed. I wake up not tired. It doesn't mean I go to bed early and get up late, but I just find that I'm focused on it, and and I'm quite frankly exhausted from a long day. And so I am getting, my goal, I used to get 6 hours of sleep, and my goal was to get it to 7. And I've been averaging 7 to 7.5. So that for me has been a huge win. And there's no judgment. Some people might be listening to this going, wow, she sleeps 7.5 hours. I'll sleep when I'm dead. I like to sleep 5. It doesn't matter what's right for you, but there's a great book called Why We Sleep. I can't remember the author, but it was really good. And also Thrive by Ariana Huffington. It just talks about how important sleep is. And I know for me, even health-wise, if I see my weight creep up, I haven't drank enough water and I haven't slept enough. If I notice when the days I don't sleep much, my body is just stressed. And that's when it does its regenerative work, right? Is when you are sleeping and giving it a chance to recover from everything we put it through. So I'm a big proponent of that. And I think this is a time where we can focus on different new habits. Yes, there's fun ones like jigsaw puzzles and, the next Netflix show we want to binge, but there's also some good healthy ones we can focus on. Just pick one and try to make, and assess your baseline, and then just look for slight improvement. You just feel great that you're making a difference.
So good. I love everything you've shared there, from everything from the apps to the people that are accountability partners. I think it's a good idea. We'll see. The challenge, Ben Andrews, who's a former 4-minute miler. So he and I are setting each other times every day. Hence my pushing it so hard today. But anyway, I agree. Finding community, finding this time to be able to reestablish patterns and habits that will serve us for the rest of our life, right? Oftentimes we get off track in these habits because we're either traveling or we're like going out with clients to restaurants, and they don't have exactly the food that we want. Like, what a great time for us to really reestablish, like, what are the ultimate habits that I want to serve me throughout the rest of my life? Because as we talked about before we started the show, is that if this hasn't given us all kind of a more clear understanding of our own mortality, of the fact that life doesn't last forever, right? We only have so much time here, and it can be very fragile. And so we need to live as much as we can within the years that we have, which includes and even extend those years by being healthy. And
live the life you want now, as opposed to like after I retire, or after this, after school, or after this project, right? If you just, if travel is important and we can travel when we can travel, then that should be something you're planning now, as opposed to, when I'm 60 or when I'm 70 or whatever. If your health is important, if family time is important, these are the things that we should just be baking into our life and finding ways to adopt those habits today. And I think this has been a really good exercise for us, forcing ourselves to do some of that, and then finding, now the challenge will be, how do we keep it going?
You've done a great job of that always, despite having such a great business, that you haven't let that stop you from being really a kind of world traveler. And so I agree with you that now is a great time to really reassess. Are we waiting to live until we retire, right? Or like you've done, and I'm sure even looking to do even more so, of like, how do we integrate all this life that we ideally want, that many of us have on pause until we get to a certain point? I'll be a better parent when. We'll go to this place when. Like,
right.
Now's like, life is now. Life isn't at some point, right?
And then I think just to not to end on a super deep note, but I think it's really important to sort of admit, at least for me, like I took a lot of pride in sort of the energy. I guess I realized I got a lot of energy when I traveled. Like I traveled all the time, including for school, and there was a certain amount of energy that I think I was addicted to and loved. And so it was a part of who I was. And this was a little painful to like having to redefine myself a little and go, yeah, that's something that I really enjoyed and it was a part of me, but it's not me. It's when you take that away, it's still me and I have this identity, right? So whether that's travel or like, let's say work is a big part of who you are. That's how you're defined. That's how you want to be known. And now you can't do your job the way you used to. Or let's just say you got laid off or your company changed gears or your role changed and now it's not what it was. It's important for us to take this opportunity to realize like there's a little bit of a mourning period. I think for me, it was like, I had to sort of come to terms with it. There was some journaling, there was some introspection there, and then realize like, yeah, that I get energy from that, but I can get energy from other things and it's not who I am. And so because I think if you get caught up in like that definition, then you're still like with the covers of your head going, when are we going to go back? So I can go back to that. When now, whether we go back to some of these things or not, we have an opportunity to sort of redefine how we get our energy and the fact that that isn't who we were. It was a part of us, but it's not what defines me.
So good.
So that's been an aha for me.
Love that. Let's end with this kind of the signature question of the show, which is you are a big thinker, right? That's why you're here on the Think Bigger Real Estate Show.
Ooh, you pointed in the right direction and everything. That's cool.
Took some coordination.
Yes.
What do you do to continue to be a big thinker, to continue to expand your possibilities? What does that look like for you?
I think a few things. I do sort of, I enjoy content, whether it's articles or reading or books or podcasts. I like listening to things. I'm trying, I try to be careful it's very easy to read something and then that's what you think. And then you read something else and that's what you think. When you really should be sort of taking it all in, processing it, and then determining how you feel about it based on the different viewpoints. But I'm a voracious like reader, and videos, content, whether it's video, audio, or text. I like information, but my main thing is really surrounding myself with people who think big as well, right? If your circle is people that you admire and that are growth oriented and that they make you better and you make them better, that's the best thing. So for me, it's associating myself with big thinkers, it's following big thinkers, and it's being really open-minded, right? It's asking the question instead of immediately going to our place. Because right now, just like politics is very, very divisive, I should say, right? It's very polar opposites. And I think the same thing, quite frankly, with this crisis, right? It's depending on your lens. If you're not as personally affected, there's a whole audience that's, I want to get back to work, right? I'm worried about the economic stability. And then there's the others that are on the health stability, and they both are very, very important depending on which way you look at it, right? But if you get on social, you just see this huge, huge divide. And I think it's really important for us to respect where people are coming from and ask them why they feel that way and learn from them, as opposed to stake in the ground and put up your dukes and I'm going to fight you because I disagree. There's just no right or wrong. It's very, very gray. And I think we just have to be open-minded and really remember where people are coming from and listen and seek first to understand, right, where people are coming from. So I think it's a lot of that. It's easier said than done. I don't mean to preach today in any way. I'm human and I'm guilty of all the things I'm telling people to try not to do. But I think it's really important. Just awareness is the first step.
I think you'd make a phenomenal president, Sarita. I'd like to be your campaign manager. Let's launch this party right now. Anyway, I want to thank you so much for contributing so much, not just on this show, but just always. That's just who you are, and so I want to thank you for that. You've been a marvelous contributor to the Think Bigger Real Estate audience, and we're grateful for that. I'm grateful for you and your impact on my life, and want to remind everybody that if this has been valuable, please do us a favor, tag, share. You can find the full episode on YouTube or on your favorite podcast app. Again, don't keep Sarita Dua's genius here a secret. Not that it is, but let's get this word out. Let's share this with more people. that would be helpful for both of us.
And thank you so much. I was going to say it's a shameless plug, but if I can share with you my link after this for a project we're doing for school, it's for women in Kenya to get them an educational platform for career readiness. And all I'm doing is looking for a vote. So if we can get some votes, we might win some money for our cause. So we're in second place, so all the votes can count. So every vote helps. If you don't mind, I'll send that with you, share that with you. Maybe you can post
No,
it.
I'd love that. So again,
Okay.
just such a tribute to who you are. So thank you again for that. My final request of everybody listening here are 3 simple words, and they are go, think bigger. Thank you so much, Sarita, for helping us do that today. Appreciate you very much, my friend.
Thank you. It's an honor. Appreciate it.